So we've got a lot to talk about, including the format of this video, and I'll get to that later on in the video. I do have a Bionicle thing here to showcase, and we've also got a little bit of Bionicle news, but it's Bionicle bad news, as we're all probably used to. And at the end of the video, I've got a little bit of a LEGO rant to go on, but it's not Bionicle related, so I'm saving that towards the end because I have an idea for something. LEGO revealed something, and I just don't really care for it, so I think I could do it better. But if you do enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe. It does help out the channel tremendously, and we are so close to 4,000 subscribers. Also, thank you so much for that. And I'd like you to stick around too, because I have a question for the comment specifically, but I can't say it right now because I don't want to spoil the thing I want to talk about at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and first talk about the Bionicle build here, which is not the most exciting. I'm not going to try and oversell it by any means, but I am really happy with it. I've actually made a video on this build before. However, I've never actually been able to build it in person because I did not think that I had enough of the dark red sockets. And I guess I technically don't. That one's definitely seen better days. But I still have enough to build it, and I'm so happy. This is Vorox 1-for-1, except I've swapped all the black out for dark red, which looks so good, and swapped all the blue pins out for black because what the hell was LEGO thinking? I have no idea. Still, though, this looks really phenomenal. And it's not that there was anything wrong with the original Vorox. His color scheme was great. He has, in some ways, a budget set, but it's arguable. He has a lot of new parts, but there are a lot of recolors specifically. In terms of actual new parts, they're just the armor pieces on his shoulders and his legs exclusive to him, and that helmet, which is a phenomenal design. It looks so good. But in general, he is definitely a fun set, and while tan and black go wonderful together, LEGO's used it before in Bionicle, and it is probably one of the best color schemes from Bionicle. I really like this color scheme as well. I'm also nostalgic for it because this is a color scheme that was used in the Dino Attack theme or Dino 2010 theme, depending on where you lived, because of course that theme had different names if you were in the US and North America versus if you were in the UK, because LEGO is weird like that. But it is also like 15 years old. And still, this is lovely. I really like this color scheme. But of course, if you don't like the brutal dark red, and of course it's not blood, it's just his natural color scheme, I swear. You could easily do, dark blue, all the parts are available. Dark green, all the parts are available, and you don't have to worry about the sockets exploding. So yeah, I think this is a really good set, but let's move on from that to Bionicle news, Bionicle bad news. And it is unfortunate to say, although maybe there's a silver lining here, we will definitely see. Come back in 2026 and prove if I'm wrong. But yeah, the Bionicle Mask of Power game has been canceled, not because the group developing it, Team Kanohi, wanted to, but because LEGO has put their foot down. Judge, jury, and executioner decided that that project is no more. And LEGO has been pretty on board with this project for years. They've known about it publicly for several years, probably privately for a bit longer than that. Obviously, there are LEGO and Bionicle fans that work for LEGO, so I imagine they've been keeping up with it for years now at this point. So it's definitely sad to see it go, but it's not like the developers of the game just decided, oh, well, we got to put this down, dust our fingers of it, or dust our hands off of it, whatever, and move on and do our own thing. No, they are moving on and doing their own thing. They are now called Unmasked Games. By the way, their logo looks absolutely phenomenal, and the Discord that they have is now rebranded, I believe, to Rustbound or Unmasked Games. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. And Rustbound is the name of the new project that they are working on, though that is all the information we have. Maybe I could try talking to one of them, getting a little bit of an exclusive interview here on the channel, but that's definitely something up to you guys, because I kind of want to be surprised by it. Like, I don't want to know too much information, but at the same time, it is a project I've been following along with, and I've been communicating with at least some of the people working on it for a while. I've got like Rahi builds and things like that, so I've been offering some of my own work to help with that project. Not successfully by any means. None of my Rahi were slated to show up in it. But either way, it was a world that I wanted to live in because I'm a big fan of Bionicle. We all are, right? That said, though, like I said, in terms of that silver lining, it is nice to see that they're not just going to say, oh, well, this is 8 years worth of game development gone to waste. No, they're doing something with it. They're working on their own project, and it's within their right to be secretive about it, of course. But I'm also kind of happy about it because it means that they can work on a project that they can monetize. This team has been wonderful in terms of actually putting out content that was unpaid. Obviously, part of it because of like IP reasons and stuff like that, but also like they easily could have still charged people money to like get access to like the 3D models and things that they were designing. Other people do this, but they didn't. They offered this stuff up for free. They were a very generous team working on this project. So to see that they'll be able to sort of recoup something out of this project, they've not said if the project they're working on is going to be a game. I assume it is Unmasked Games, right? Or if it is going to be monetized or freely available. And I'm happy either way for them. Obviously, it's always good to get free stuff, but at the same time, I want them to get something out of this, right? Especially if it's successful. If it puts their name on the radar, this is phenomenal for all parties involved. And in a way, you can almost see it as a blessing in disguise, even if, yes, it does mean the Bionicle game gets taken away from us. That sucks, I know. That said, though, I do want to move on to why does this video look different? Before we talk about, because we're going to talk about it in a minute, the LEGO rant I'm going to go on. This video looks a little bit different for a few reasons. I had a video that I put out earlier in the week on the channel, but I had to pull it due to some audio issues, which I didn't catch. I probably should have, but I thought that the video was going to be okay because it was one that I have recorded in a session of recording, so multiple recordings at the same time. And the audio in the other videos I had recorded was okay, so I didn't check, and I should have. That said, though, yeah, no, the audio was not okay. And it's weird, too, because it's not like it was corrupted. It just was like, I don't even know how to phrase it. People were mentioning that it was like peaking, the microphone was peaking, which is very bizarre because nothing had changed. I had not changed any settings. I had not moved the microphone, nothing like that. So very weird that it happened, but it happened. And it is a problem I've been running into more and more, it seems like, with OBS, with Windows specifically. I kind of blame Windows more than OBS, but OBS has some of its own issues. We're all familiar with that as well. So it's unfortunate. But I also have a new phone, so it means I get to kind of take advantage of that. Now, this is a new phone to me. It's not like the newest phone, and it does not need to be. This is one that I had gotten from a family member after my phone broke because they had just gotten a new phone themselves. And it's nice because, one, I can use a lav mic with this phone. I could not do that with the other one. I can also use like clicky, Bluetooth stuff, so I can start and stop the video whenever I want to. But also, it just generally is a better quality video than my other phone was. Definitely better than the webcam. Probably is picking up my neighbor's motorcycle because they just won't stop starting that thing, but that's always every day. It ruins so many videos. And it is worth noting too that I'm not somebody who likes to talk that much on this channel about LEGO news, which is my way of segueing into the next topic. But I do tend to talk about LEGO things that still excite me, or if I feel like I have an opinion that I can bring to the table. I actually had talked about in that video that I had to remove the LEGO Simpsons icon set, specifically the Krusty Burger set, also the gift with purchase that came with it. And while I actually do like the Krusty Burger set, it does have a problem, notably that price. It's way too expensive, and I don't own it. I can't critique the set in hand, of course, but I've definitely seen reviews on it. One of the reasons I do tend to wait to do LEGO news, if you will, when I do it at all, is because A, it's not really what the channel is geared towards. It's not what I am wanting to do with the channel either. And B, because I too want to kind of hear the opinions of other creators out there. Maybe they look, with their fresh eyes, if you will, and having a set hands-on especially, see something in a set that I don't see. Because I might critique something and then they see it and be like, oh, this can do this thing because of this. And now the thing I was critiquing is like, oh, that's actually a feature. That's a perk. And that's neat, right? But Krusty Burger set. I do like the set. I do think the price is crappy. All the figures that come with it make sense, but they're also kind of why I have a problem with the gift with purchase that comes with it. Because it is, as far as I know, in the US, $210. I got that from a Jangbricks video, so correct me in the comments if I am wrong about that. By the way, go subscribe to Jangbricks, the fantastic creator over here on YouTube. Definitely one of my favorites when it comes to LEGO content in general. But aside from that, even around the $200 mark, whatever the case may be, ultimately here in the US, that's a wild price for that set, given the amount of parts, given what we've had in the past, because this is not the first ever LEGO Simpsons set, but it is still a location that makes sense. However, a lot of LEGO Simpsons stuff has been quite large in the past outside of like dimensions, so having a gift with purchase is neat, unless you waste that. And I feel like they kind of did. Here's the thing. The gift with purchase from LEGO is the thing, A, that I would have replaced, and I have an idea. In fact, I designed a set that I replaced it with, which you can find over in the Discord link in the description for that. But it is the Simpsons living room. just a slice of the living room, no minifigures at all. In fact, very few references to the show. Obviously, there's the painting in the background, which I assume is a sticker. And on the TV itself, it says Krusty Burger in the, honestly, laziest design I could think of. I assume they're clear back stickers because it's just a white background on it. And there are clear back stickers, I think, that show up in the Simpsons set anyway. But also, it bothers me because while the Krusty Burger set has a lot of references to other things from the Simpsons franchise, other episodes as well, the Simpsons living room piece only has references to the Krusty Burger set, if any. And that's unfortunate because it has the little ad on TV, but why not make that something better? Why not have a news broadcast talking about how Sideshow Bob has escaped, referencing one of the many times he has done it in the show, right? Because Sideshow Bob is in the Krusty Burger set, and also so is Officer Lou. So now you kind of give them a separate reason to be there. Obviously, Officer Lou can be there anyway. Many of the police characters in this, The Simpsons are in Krusty Burger in several scenes in the show. Obviously, Sideshow Bob has a history with not only the Simpsons character, specifically Bart, but also with Krusty himself. So you've got a reason for him to be there. He might not even know the Simpsons are there. Maybe he's going there to seek revenge on Krusty for something, again, right? But Bart just happens to be there, so now his plans have changed, whatever the case. I do think it would have been cool to have a rake in the set. Maybe there is one and I just missed it. But obviously there are a lot of references in the show between him stepping on rakes. Anyway, I don't know how that originated and where that, anyway. But what would I replace that gift with purchase with then? Well, first off, as I mentioned, the sticker on the TV I've replaced with a newscast, voice crack. And there are a couple reasons for this, because I also have an idea for other sets that could also be made in this LEGO Simpsons theme. Now, it is worth noting that the Krusty Burger set is an Icons theme set, but it could be also a toe, a foot in the door, if you will, a toe in the water, testing the waters, right? Into seeing if the theme sells, if it's viable. But I don't know if a $200 set is really where you want to gauge those metrics, right? That said, though, I proposed, instead of the LEGO Simpsons living room, because we've already gotten that before. That's the other wild thing. We got the Simpsons a house 10 years ago. And yeah, 10 years ago, it's an expensive set these days. It's not the most common thing. There have been 10 years worth of new parts made. So, it is something you can adapt and change with modern parts. But we did have it. And this set doesn't even come with figures. So why not something that I think makes a little more sense? With or without figures, this Bart's Treehouse. This to me is wonderful. I actually designed a version of this. I posted it over on Discord, and if I can find a way to add it to this video, I will. Give a little room for it over here. But specifically, my version of Bart's Treehouse is 117 pieces. I picked that number just because that's roughly the amount I counted in the Simpsons living room set, so I wanted to keep the parts budget the same. How do you make a tree with a giant canopy in 115 pieces? You don't. My version just uses vinyl pieces for the canopy, which I think is totally fine. The canopy of the tree is not the focal point of the set. It's also already based on a cartoon IP, so I think the detail of the piece, what's printed on the canopy, could just be the cartoon tree, right? So that all makes sense. And it keeps it lightweight, so you can take the canopy of the tree off, so you can get access to the tree house, right? I also made it where the canopy could just fold down to the side, whichever you choose, whichever is more convenient for you. And that means you could take the roof of the tree house off, and now you have access to the tree house. No characters in my version. That's not to say you couldn't have them. LEGO could easily add a Marge or a Maggie, but assuming that those parts are retired, the parts budget isn't there, whatever the case may be, okay, fine. I can get behind that. No big deal. But that's also why I think it makes sense here, because the LEGO Simpsons living room scene just feels kind of naked without any characters at all. And I also feel like that's why the news sticker, the sticker of Sideshow Bob escaping as a news story, makes a little bit of sense, right? Because why would the Simpsons be at the Krusty Burger if Sideshow Bob is out on the loose? Oh, because they missed the news broadcast. There's nobody in the living room to see it. And that's kind of a neat idea. Where are Marge and Maggie? I'll get to that in a moment. So, my version of the treehouse has the treehouse. It has the big, girthy trunk with a ladder going all the way up with a generous amount of ladder steps as well. It has the actual treehouse. Remember, 117 parts. You pull the roof off. There's a little table on the inside, maybe some stickers on the back to represent some posters Bart has hung up. There's a little window in the back as well. There's obviously the opening in the front door. And then on the ground is a little 8x16 base plate in green, obviously representing grass. And you get Lisa's bike with the basket on it. I don't remember if the Simpsons house had Lisa's bike, so that's why I added it in here. I know it had Bart's skateboard, though, so having the bike I felt was just a good addition. And it gives Lisa something to do because she comes in the Krusty Burger set. So does Bart, so does Homer. No Marge or Maggie, right? So in this set, I also have a lawnmower that any character can interact with. Bart could be using it to push around. You could have Lisa using it if that's a thing she does in the show. You could easily have Homer using it, of course. But I also have a grill for Homer to interact with. And it's just a little round grill, nothing fancy. And it's worth noting that the bike that I made is 5 pieces. The mower that I made is 10 pieces. The grill that I made is 8 pieces. So all very, very restrained on the parts budget itself. But it is worth noting, too, that the Krusty Burger set also comes with food, like the Krusty Burger and the Ribwicks, right? Things that could easily be extracted from that set and put in this treehouse set, so now you have Homer barbecuing. And now they're not a Krusty Burger, but it's just burgers that he's barbecuing, or whatever the case may be. I think that's a really interesting use case, because now you've got things for each of the characters to interact with, right? Bart can be in the treehouse playing with his table, or he can be mowing the lawn, or whatever. You could have one of the drinks that appears in the Krusty Burger set in the treehouse as well, if you want to still reference the Krusty Burger set. But because it doesn't have a sticker on it, it could just as easily be a squishy or whatever, another reference to the show, if nothing else. And so all of that, I think, is a phenomenal use of parts. Again, 117 pieces is what I was able to do. But assuming you could even up the parts budget more, you could do a hammock for Homer or any character. You could do definitely Marge or Maggie. But I also think that'd be interesting if this does end up becoming its own theme. The next set that I propose is a smaller set, because I think it's important to get small sets from the Simpsons theme. I don't want every set being multiple hundreds of dollars, right? I think it'd be really interesting to have scenes that are slices of life at the end of the day. And one that I thought of is essentially 2 vehicles, Marge's car, because I don't think we've ever gotten that in Simpsons, unless it's been in like a Dimension set or whatever, and a news van. And here's a couple of reasons why. A, the news van gives extra credit, if you will. It gives extra prominence to the news sticker that I was talking about. Granted, that's obviously if we still got the gift of purchase. Maybe Bart's Treehouse could be a little $10 or $15 set or whatever, and then come with a figure. But in this case, in this set that I also am thinking of, and I'll probably design on Studio later, you have Marge's car with Marge and Maggie in it. So now you have a reason why they're not at the Krusty Burger, because they're driving somewhere else. Maybe they're stuck in traffic, and that's why the news van is there. The news is covering what happened that is that they are stuck behind. Or maybe the news is the cause of it, because there are several scenes in the show where like the helicopter falls on the bridge or whatever and blocks traffic, which is hilarious, right? So you could have something like that, the news helicopter or the news van. And I also like the idea of the news van too, because another reference. So, in the Krusty Burger set, there's also a roof on it, but the roof is very bare. There's only 2 things, a little trapdoor to get inside the building, and a little vent, like a AC ventilation system or whatever, with a fan on it. And I like that idea because when I see the fan on the roof, it makes me think of the Simpsons Hit and Run game. Obviously, The Simpsons has a TV show, but it is multimedia, and in the past, it has had several games. One of the most popular, if not the most popular, definitely the most nostalgic for me, is Simpsons Hit and Run. And one of the things you interact with in that game are these vents on roofs and other things, where you jump on the vent and it blasts you in the air. It basically acts like a spring in the Sonic franchise, right? But there are other things in the Hit and Run game you also interact with. You've got the little bee that flies around that has the camera or whatever built into it, but you've also got these little vending machines with coins inside. And so my idea is that on this roof, you could have one of these vending machines. It doesn't make sense until you remember the reference from the Hit and Run game specifically. And it just gives you another thing to interact with without being too many parts. So it's not something like another reference to the show. Like you could do like the B Sharps thing, but that doesn't technically take place on the Krusty Burger building. I think it takes place on Moe's. You could have Apu's Garden, but that doesn't make sense on the Krusty Burger. That makes sense on the Quickie Mart or on Apu, etc. Right? So ultimately, while there are definitely other rooftop references you could have, Hit and Run has a lot of stuff that takes place on roofs that are a lot less parts investment. And the vending machine is one of them. You already have the vent there. And now the news van can sort of be a stand-in for the van that also exists in the Hit and Run game. They're not news vans in the Hit and Run game. They're like sort of FBI-like vans, but not exactly. They're sort of mysterious, right? And my thought is that, or you could even have them be one of the vans that shows up in the Simpsons show, because there are several times too where there's a van parked outside of the Simpsons house. I remember one where they've got like FBI and then it says like flower bouquet. I don't remember, but it's the initials FBI, but it's like a flower van. Anyway, hilarious. and you could do something like that as well. So plenty of references you can get, but this gives you two vehicles, right? Vehicles are always fun to have in pairs. Important vehicle, at least with Marge's, right? But the news van is nothing to scoff over either. And now you could actually have Kent Brockman in a set, or Artie Pie in a Arnie Pie, if you have the helicopter included as well. And then you get Marge and Maggie. And boom, there's more characters. I think we've had Kent Brockman before. I could be wrong, though, but I don't think we've had Arnie Pie. So that would be an interesting one to include in a set like this because, of course, his character shows up in a lot of Simpsons episodes as well. And once again, this just helps to expand that world further. So all things told, you could have plenty of reasons too why the news van and the Marge wagon are kind of in the same vehicle, or maybe the Canyon Arrow, right, are in the same set to begin with. Maybe in this scenario, it's a reference to like when Marge was selling pretzels and for the mafia or whatever, and not for the mafia, but you know what I mean, right? And so she doesn't know she's breaking the law, but you know the news is following her because turns out she's breaking the law or something like that. Little things, right? And then that way you have all these things in this set that can then be pushed over to the Krusty Burger set, because now it doesn't have to be that the news van is chasing Marge. It could be the news van is chasing Sideshow Bob, and Marge is just at the Krusty Burger with her family, because that makes sense too. Now you've got two separate stories that are told depending on which sets you get and in what combination. If you wanted to include a third vehicle, you could have a police vehicle for Lou and just have like Chief Wiggum drive it, or whatever the other guy's name is that I can't remember off the top of my head right now, right? So you get another figure in the set, even if it's one we've had before or not. And once again, now you've got a news van and a police vehicle and Marge's car, like all chasing each other all at once. Little things like this. I really like this idea, but it's just an idea. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What would you do for either a gift with purchase for the Simpsons theme, or what would you do for a set, particularly a small set? But I am interested still if you have any establishments that you would like to see represented in Lego form. I don't imagine Lego would do Moe's because of the subject material, but what about the comic book store or an arcade or something along those lines, or the Springfield Mall? That might be difficult to do, but that would be really fascinating as well. Plenty of options. Obviously, you've got the power plant as well. Let me know your thoughts. I don't want to get too into it because I want you guys to let me know, and let me know your thoughts also on the Bionicle news in this video. I know this video is kind of all over, but hey, if that's something you enjoy, that's also something you can let me know down in the comments below, because again, yes, the format of this video is different, but on the plus side, does mean that I can move this phone around with me if I choose to continue making videos like this. I'll see you all in the next one. Be sure to subscribe. Take care. I have a thing that I can use to click the button to turn the thing off, but it doesn't work all the time.